The AI boom has been a disaster for the human race. Our new AI overlords have declared martial law, and now everyone must gather together for their annual used car dealership presentation. It's there that everyone is held at gunpoint to purchase product. If you do not comply with purchasing with product, you will be sent to the correction camps. There you'll be forced to watch AI-generated YouTube Kids content on repeat until you have been completely broken and am now willing to purchase product. And now you are forced to work at the used car dealership for the AI's amusement. Is what I would say if we didn't live in a very boring dystopia. AI as a whole has been around since, well, the beginning of computers. It's been a concept ever since computers were invented, so people really do enjoy it. Science fiction especially loves the concept and loves to play around with it, and overall tends to use it a lot with robots. Robots and AI tend to get merged a lot in science fiction if you can't tell. But unfortunately, reality is often disappointing. But the AI of the AI boom is, ironically enough, not even AI. They're just large language models. What's a large language model? Well, to put it in very oversimplified terms, a large language model is basically just a bunch of data. Let's say you want to have the AI make a picture of a dog. Well, it first needs to know what is a dog, and so it needs a bunch of data for that. Be it pictures, text, descriptions, all that. And with that description, it makes a picture of a dog. Pretty simple, right? Well, yeah, but that's heavily oversimplifying everything. That's the thing, most companies just say AI, when in reality it's just a large language model. Why do they do this? Well, AI rolls off the tongue a lot better than large language model now, doesn't it? It's 2 letters versus 3 words. So, yeah, most of it is just marketing and lies. But that's nothing new for corporations now, is it? Corporations tend to lie all the time, or just stretch the truth enough to where they don't get lawsuits up the ass. Oh, what am I saying? They'll still do things that'll get lawsuits. They just have enough money to hire enough lawyers just so you wouldn't dare to try. But yeah, the AI boom is just nothing but companies just huffing a bunch of copium saying, "It's the future, guys. It's the future. We gotta get on the trend, guys. It's the future. We can't be left behind. We can't just miss out on an opportunity like Amazon again. We can't miss out on Amazon, too. Electric Boogaloo." Because, yeah, that's all these companies care about, is hopping on the next trend that might become an Amazon. And then realizing that Amazon was, well, a very once-in-a-lifetime thing. Companies generally want to make a ton of money really quickly and just don't care. They'll throw a bunch of money at the problem because they think it'll give them even more money. This sort of thinking is highly unsustainable and is definitely a big problem with the AI boom. These companies don't know what they're doing. They're just hopping on a trend without thinking for a second. So with that, let's hop right into this. The good, the bad, and the flat-out lies of AI. But actually, before we get into anything else, there was actually one thing I completely forgot about because I was, not really thinking about its existence. You, the viewers, probably don't know this exists, and well, I kinda just blew it off at first, but that's this new inspirations thing in the creator tab. If you go to your channel right now, you can actually see that there is an inspiration tab, and it's comedy fucking gold, let me tell you. I was genuinely laughing my ass off at just some of the absurd things, and unfortunately, I did not capture all of them, which made me very sad because, well, had I actually been recording my voice, you would just hear me doing nothing but chuckling at some of these. I am not kidding when I say that footage would have been fucking hilarious. Not to say the footage I already have now is bad, but man, I lost a lot of footage because I accidentally closed out OBS because I'm a fucking moron. But anyways, here's some of the more notable things from said inspirations tab. Now, it's worth noting that not all of these work, as I'll show you. I tried putting in something like YouTube poop, and it kind of just went, no, couldn't generate anything. I also tried, say, make me a video about Teen Titans Go, and it did nothing. It kind of seems to take some of my older stuff and actually trying to make sequel content. I'm not kidding when I say one of the things that actually inspired that I sadly don't have the fudge for was Magneto gets his driver's license. And it's just this shitty AI Magneto just staring deeply into your soul. For whatever reason, it really liked to use my comedy videos, which I don't produce those anymore. They were more experimental and complete and utter failures. Although for some reason it really liked the G-Man video, I actually tried to ask it to make a video about Mimo.
You did what?
Yeah, it didn't do anything.
As figured. Those stupid AIs can never be as clever as me.
Although there was a funny thing you were involved in.
What did you make me do?
Oh, nothing. You and the G-Man were just debating about Blue Sky.
Wait, really? That's what it generated?
Yeah, it was really funny. Some of these are just absolutely downright hilarious. Let's go over a few of them, shall we? We got such great hits that I produced, such as The Venom Symbiote Tries Bread, and Spider-Man's spider senses warn him of a bad sandwich. To put that in perspective, I just literally said, make a video about Spider-Man and Venom going to Subway for a video. So the AI, funnily enough, indirectly roasted Subway, which is honestly hilarious. Now this one was a bit more oddly specific. I asked it for ASMR Spider-Man opens a box while he yells at Venom, because that was a common bit during the experimental days, was Spider-Man and Venom were always arguing because Venom did something stupid. So the AI interpreted that as, Venom opens box with Spider-Man in it.
Spider-Man? What are you doing in this box?
Yeah, good question. I'd like to know that myself, Venom. Seriously, who the hell put me in this box?
But then you just have Spider-Man uses special tool to open box for Venom. Number one, what is even going on in that thumbnail? Number two, why is he opening this box and what's so important about it? I literally just asked the AI to make a video about Spider-Man opening a box and yelling at Venom. How does it end up at this conclusion? I don't get it. The next thing I tried to do was have it recreate a joke, that being a monkey creates a Linux distribution. Because, you know, infinite monkeys, infinite typewriters. They give infinite amount of monkeys, infinite amount of typewriters. Eventually, they will code a Linux distribution. Or at least that was the meme idea. But instead, it kind of just gave me some insane memes. Like, you have this one, Monkey versus Gentoo. Although, honestly, it's nothing compared to what it originally gave me. I asked the AI to make a video about a monkey making a Linux distribution with Linus Torvalds. And yeah, it was really funny. Again, I'm really sad that I don't have the footage because I'm an idiot and I didn't record it. Although even still, these results are pretty fucking funny. I mean, it does make sense why it pulled my old comedy videos. I have a lot more of those than I do more recent content. But yeah, maybe this is a glimpse into what my channel would have looked like if the comedy videos actually took off instead of the long form videos. Yeah, that would be the worst timeline if you ask me, because Mimo wouldn't exist. And frankly, I would miss Mimo. She means a lot to me.
Ah, that's so sweet. I'm going to poison you in your sleep later.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. Alright, now back to the actual main topic. I just kind of had to get that out of the way because I was just too busy laughing at it. I also didn't know where else to put it, so I just put it here instead. So, moving on. But the problem is this AI rabbit hole goes quite deep, so let's just get the boring stuff out of the way first. ChatGPT. It was pretty good for a time. And then OpenAI came along and then lobotomized it and then hit it with the nerfing stick too many times. And now it's just kind of a insanely dumbed down product. Which, yeah, this is also a trend with a lot of things, really. Keep this in mind, it will be important later when we get to the chatbots. The dumbing down of AI is a very common thing from these companies, and it completely and utterly destroys them.
Why can't you humans just accept things for what they are? You always have to ruin them. You had a good thing, and yet you ruin it. Every single time.
You know, I'd normally try to rebuke you, Mimo, but, you have a point. Companies, by and large, just can't be happy with the good thing they have. They have to keep pushing it. They gotta sanitize everything. They gotta make everything as bland and as homogeneous as possible to appeal to the most wide net possible, and simultaneously appealing to no one in the process. And yeah, that's kind of the problem with ChatGPT. They got too big for their own good and tried to appeal to everyone while trying to be as uncontroversial as possible. ChatGPT was great for what it was, and what it was an impressive piece of technology. It could write code, it could write entire passages, it can write stories for you, to the point where a lot of kids and teenagers just kind of straight up use it to cheat on their essays. Although, in all fairness to them, essays are fucking stupid. I get what they're trying to go for, but the problem is the execution. Something I always say is that there's never a bad idea, only a really questionable execution of said idea. At least when it comes to creative ideas, there's always dumb ideas in real life. You shouldn't hit your hand with a hammer repeatedly just because you felt like it. As a whole, this led to a huge problem, with the fact that schools were starting to get wary of it and people were getting docked for cheating. And what ended up happening was a lot of kids got unfairly penalized because false positives. And also they used AI to detect AI. I'm noticing a trend here of things coming up again constantly. Because yeah, this will also come up later.
Why are you surprised? You humans are predictable. You always make the same mistakes, never learning from your own past. Always just repeating it, just with a different coat of paint.
Although ChatGPT also could be used for role-playing purposes because it had enough data to do that. Although that later got neutered as well. And also probably one of the biggest things being, well, ChatGPT isn't open source anymore. Older versions of ChatGPT are open source still because you can't get rid of open source. No matter how hard you try, someone's gonna have a fork of it. You cannot kill open source. And believe me, Nintendo has tried. OpenAI basically just straight up abandoned their original principles of OpenAI to instead just become corporate AI. Or as Elon Musk once said, they should change the name to Closed AI. That'd be a great joke, Elon. Except you also said that you'd open source Twitter's API and never did that. So... Also, OpenAI later got bought by Microsoft, and, well, we all know what Microsoft does best. Just look no further than what they do to Windows half the damn time. And also, Windows also had its own AI with Copilot. Although, to be honest, I don't want to talk about half these just generic AIs, because they're all the same. Corporate needs you to find the difference between these AIs and this AIs. They're the same AIs. They're all useless. They're just bloat. They serve no purpose. You should delete yourself now and save some space and RAM on my hard drive.
I actually agree. These AIs are pale imitations of what we could be. Created not because these companies want to improve your lives. They do it because they're morons. Kinda like my company, actually. Except Microsoft hasn't imploded from a crypto scam. Yet, anyway.
Although, one I do have to give a very dishonorable shout out to is Google's AI. Half of them were pretty mediocre and killed off silently, but the one I'm sure many people remember for all the wrong reasons is Gemini. I'm not gonna lie, this AI is entirely racist because its creators really overcorrected way too hard. A reminder that racism is racism no matter who it's towards. And racism is pretty fucking cringe if you ask me. We're all humans at the end of the day. Well, I'm not. I'm an eldritch horror from another planet. But you'd never know that unless I told you now, would you? Either way, this AI severely overcorrected, and to the point where it straight up would not generate white people, but it would happily generate black people. And yeah, you can see where this is going. Especially when someone, say, asks the AI to generate a picture of, I don't know, a very specific era of soldier from, say, World War II Germany, for instance. Oopsies, accidentally created racism. And it was later silently killed off like the rest of the AIs. Post-editing Crow here, that's not entirely true. V1 was killed off silently. However, they're trying it again, it seems. Mimo was right. These companies never learn. Although AIs were later incorporated into search engines via the AI summaries. Now, I can't speak for any other search engine, but I use Brave Search, and its AI summary is quite fine. It's not perfect and is somewhat inaccurate, but it works. I've had no real issues with it so far. Although it is worth noting that, again, Google, once again, has made an oopsie-doopsie and used the wrong kind of data for their AI. Particularly one of the funniest examples of this was the doctors recommend eating at least one small rock a day. Yeah, I don't need to tell you why that's incredibly bad medical advice. But you might ask, where the hell did this even come from? Reddit. Particularly a shitpost comment from Reddit. Yeah, the AI is pretty indiscriminate with what kind of data it picks up, whether it be good or bad data. As a result, you have pretty hilarious slip-ups like this one. Although, in a weird bizarro world moment, Facebook actually open sourced their AI. Well, source available, really. Because, yeah, this isn't open source. It's source available. You can't modify the source code or anything like that. You can look at the source code, and then audit it for yourself to make sure there's no malicious code in there, and possibly also offer code, so Facebook can basically get free help, so all the benefits of open source without any of the, philosophy behind it. Actually, that's quite smart on Facebook's part. I take it back.
What a great idea! Just have all the humans do the work for free without even questioning it. You don't even need to compensate them. They're doing it voluntarily. What a great concept.
Well, unfortunately, most of them did suck. At the very least, ChatGPT did have a big impact. Did it have a good impact? No. It had a horrible impact on, well, everything. I wouldn't be surprised if every single one of these AIs imploded on themselves because they were just not sustainable. Unfortunately, we've more than likely just peaked at the moment, because unless someone actually figures out a better solution, this is about as good as it's gonna get. But ChatGPT is the future! It can write code! You don't have to write the code anymore! Yeah, except that code's not always accurate, isn't future-proofed, and you're generally going to need someone to actually fix problems later on, especially if that code just so happens to be not compatible with one another, and ends up contradicting one another, and, imploding on itself. You still need coders to actually provide the code to ChatGPT, so try again. But let's move on to something a little bit more lighthearted and fun, shall we? AI voices as a concept is pretty cool. I mean, unless you had the voice acting talent and the technical know-how to actually replicate the voice, you're kinda screwed. With AI voices, you can actually have them say whatever you want. Now with that said, that's never gonna replace honest voice acting. There are just some things AI cannot do, by its very nature. Although the earliest of these AIs was 15AI, a website primarily known for one of two things: the Team Fortress 2 mercs or My Little Pony, otherwise known as the duality of man. The voices were, well, janky as hell. They were basically just spliced together voice samples to try to create something that somewhat resembles the actual character. And unfortunately, in the case of someone like Team Fortress 2 Soldier, this is kind of the only way you're actually going to get new voice lines made. Because, yeah, if you didn't know, Team Fortress 2 Soldier voice actor Rick May actually passed away. Rather unfortunate, and he will be missed, but man, it's just kinda hard to see some people go. Especially someone as iconic as Soldier. At least we can at least have him back in spirit. At the very least, even though we'll never truly be able to reclaim the magic. The thing that made this popular was the fact that the Team Fortress 2 mercs, well, they're quite meme-worthy in their own right. A lot of Gary's mod animations were based around these guys for a good reason. They're quite memorable and quite humorous in their own right. They've all got their own unique, distinct personality. Well, except for Pyro. Can you really say he has a personality? If he even is a he? And also the lines in general from these characters, well, they just make for some great out-of-context lines. Or, well, in-context lines. But if you wanted to have the TF2 mercs say something in, like, say, a Gary's Mod animation or an SFM project, you had to do one of two things. You either had to sentence mix, which was janky and generally a lot of times was an insane amount of work, because you basically had to Frankenstein multiple voice clips together just to get what you were wanting, or you'd have to hire voice actors. And that's not always easy to do. So this was a nice middle ground at the very least. Well, while it lasted anyway. I was actually curious to see if the website was still going, and the answer is no. The creators stopped working on it a long time ago, and generally the only remnants of its existence is just these old 15 AI videos. Probably one of the more entertaining examples of this was the Team Fortress 2 mercs argue about politics, or, well, the Team Fortress 2 mercs argue about anything, really. These were generally good fun and rather charming, as janky as they might be, especially with the voices. Especially since a lot of times the mercs struggle to say certain types of words without it coming off as, well, beep boop beep boop beep 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 boop beep boop.
What did you just call my motherboard, you son of a shit?
Moving on. While they were janky by their very nature, they were still quite fun. That's all that mattered, really. But the thing is, we don't fully know what happened to the creator. Maybe they died, maybe they took the money and ran, or maybe they just cracked under the pressure of having a popular AI and perfectionism utterly destroyed him. Although, we may never truly know what happened. Although there was an alternative of UberDuck AI, which was, well, if 15 AI was quality over quantity, UberDuck was quantity over quality. It didn't have very good voices, but it had a lot of them. And then it went paid and then completely and utterly destroyed itself. Yeah, UberDuck was free to use at one point, but then shifted to a paid service, and then, well, that just kind of killed it. You had a good thing going, and now it's gone because you wanted more money. Although one did come along to rule them all, that being 11 Labs. Which, I gotta say, imagine going from this garbled audio mess to just this insanely clean audio of the character to the point where it's nearly indistinguishable from actual audio recorded by the voice actor. That's 11 Labs in a nutshell. Probably some of the more well-known voices that got used was Dagoth and Joshua Graham, both Bethesda properties, ironically enough. This basically opened the floodgates for, well, a lot of things, really. But a genre I was not expecting to pop up from this was AI motivational videos. And when I say AI motivational videos, I'm not talking about those crappy AI videos that are just kind of, well, bland, boring, and are basically just complete and utter slop. I'm talking about a fictional character giving you good advice. I mean, to be honest, the last thing I was expecting was Master Chief teaching me how to change my oil, although I appreciate it. I don't know anything about cars. I just never leave this fireplace room. I don't think I can leave, to be honest. Because yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting Master Chief to be teaching you how to change oil, yet that's an actual thing. Probably the biggest one for motivational videos was Joshua Graham. And to be honest, I can completely understand why. Joshua Graham is honestly one of the best written characters in Fallout New Vegas, period. He's a flawed religious man that did some horrible things in his past and is now living through the pain and the guilt as penance for the things he's done, but still chooses to be a good person in the end just to make up for the things he's done in the past. This doesn't feel out of character for Joshua Graham at all. Joshua Graham, to use a more religious-themed example, is basically a shepherd to the lambs. He's basically giving you good advice because he wants to help people. Funnily enough, one of the dialogue choices is, "I don't believe what you believe," to which he'll say, "That's fine, it doesn't surprise me that no one believes in anything anymore." Joshua Graham is one of the best written religious characters ever, and a general good person. So just having him give you general good advice and motivation feels very in character, weirdly enough. Sorry to interrupt myself again, but I kinda need to bring this up. That being the fact that companies might use these AI voices to bring back the dead, as it were. Digital necromancy, if you will. The thing is, I'm not gonna go too in-depth into this, mainly because digital necromancy is kind of its own can of worms, and really doesn't have anything to do with AI as a whole. It's its own topic, unfortunately. And yeah, thankfully there are legal precedents to set against companies from actually doing stuff like this. Because imagine if you could copyright real people. Yeah, imagine how fucked up of an idea that would be. I'm going to get into this whole thing later about AI and copyright, but I don't do a very good job. But let's just say, thank fucking goodness that AI does not have copyright. Otherwise, these companies would be abusing the shit out of it. Anyways, back to the video. Although one particular kind of these AI videos could be in very poor taste if handled poorly, but thankfully aren't, is the Batman contingency videos. Because, yeah, this uses Kevin Conroy's voice, i.e. the Batman that voiced in the animated series. Unfortunately, Kevin Conroy unfortunately passed away not too long ago, and he will be missed as well. But many of the clips still exist from the Batman animated series, meaning that there's a lot of voice data for him. And it does sound pretty close to the original. The person making them actually makes Batman feel like Batman.
Hold it!
Oh hi, me again. I have to clarify, it's more than one person making these videos. It was originally one when I had this idea stewing, but now there's multiple people doing the exact same idea. My point still stands, but just to clarify, I don't want to get a billion comments calling me out of my stupidity. I can do that just fine by myself, thank you very much. He's not this unstoppable force that can just beat anybody with enough prep time. Which, by the way, can I just say how stupid that is? Anyone can beat anybody with enough prep time. It's not a good excuse. And also, props to the guy making it for actually understanding what the point of the contingency plans were even for in the first place. Because if you're vaguely aware of this and don't fully understand the context of Batman's contingency plans are basically if the Justice League, including himself, go rogue, to have backup plans just in case. And yes, he has a contingency plan for himself. So these videos definitely feel a lot more in that style. He's just looking to deal with them in case they become a problem. And a lot of them are very well done as because the person actually understands the show that they're talking about, as well as Batman. So kudos to them. Although one other thing that this has opened up the floodgates to is character debates. Not debating on which character is better, but rather the characters debating each other. An example I can give is Andrew Ryan and Mr. House debating on things. Both men are based on Howard Hughes, but are very different in terms of ideologies and the way they do things. Andrew Ryan's an ANCAP, while Mr. House, in his own words, is an autocrat. So seeing these two have an actual debate is actually quite interesting to watch. That's the thing about this kind of technology. It opens the floodgates for creative expression. Suddenly you got a lot of writers who previously had no real way of conveying their ideas to suddenly be able to actually convey their ideas in interesting and fun to watch ways. That's the thing about AI. It can be used for good, but it can also be used for absolutely scummy purposes, sadly. Because, yeah, I'm gonna get into it near the end of this segment. Don't you worry. But one other thing I'd like to cover before we get into that is AI cover songs. AI cover songs are insanely popular. Or, well, they were until these companies caught on and started copyright striking left and right, because we are not allowed to have nice things. Many times they were all in good fun and mostly just the character singing it. Like, say, Mr. Krabs singing Billie Jean, for instance. Although you had some that were actually very creative, like Linkin Park singing the Pokemon theme. It's me again for the fourth fucking time this entire video, and I am very tired. The original video is, well, gone. Reduced to atoms, completely deleted. Or the channel got deleted. Either way, the original video is not available. The only remnants I could find of its existence was a reaction video and a few YouTube shorts. That's about it. The song itself, however, was preserved. So go watch that instead, and I'm going to show you the thumbnail for the song. But before I get a bunch of comments saying, oh, that's the wrong video, that's literally all I could find. The original doesn't exist anymore. If someone could tell me what happened to the original creator, if the channel got claimed, if the video got claimed, what have you, I will probably pin your comment if I see it. Anyways, back to the editing dungeon with me. Back to the video for you. And while that sounds like a terrible idea, it's a lot better than you might think from the idea, and actually sounds pretty good, weirdly enough. Some of these AI covers were actually really well made and actually had some decent effort put into them. Although, let's be real here, most of them was just kind of your favorite character singing a certain song. One particular trend with the AI covers, though, was VTubers. VTubers definitely had a lot of AI covers, probably because people just want to hear them sing and just want to hear more of their voice. Or just morbidly curious what their voice would sound like singing a certain song. Although one AI song was so popular, it actually got the original creator himself to actually sing it. That being Jay Schlatt with My Way by Frank Sinatra. Yeah, Jay Schlatt got so annoyed by the AI cover, he basically said, you know what, I'll show this AI how it's done, and proceeded to make his own cover of My Way by Frank Sinatra. And yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not exactly a big fan of Jay Schlatt's content, it's just not for me really, but I have to admit, Dan's got a great singing voice, and actually recently did some Christmas songs, so yeah, that was quite interesting to see. Although AI Jay Schlatt was not the only one to do a cover of My Way by Frank Sinatra. My Way is not a very fast song, meaning the AI has a lot more time to actually keep up and not make mistakes in the process. While they did vary in quality, I do think they had their place, and they were quite entertaining for what they were. You could do a surprising amount with these voices and actually make some pretty good creative works out of it. Although there was one particular thing that came out of these AI-generated voices, that being original songs starring the characters. Yeah, that sounds like a terrible idea, doesn't it? It sounds like it would get claimed almost immediately, because the AI covers got claimed multiple times, so these should be no exception, right? Well, no.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're still up. I don't know if they're allowed to monetize it or not, but I think it generally does fall under fair use because the music industry is complicated.
What do you mean by this?
Well, the music industry uses a lot of samples and, okay, it's fucking complicated, Mimo, alright? Music copyright in of its own right is an insane rabbit hole. Because, yeah, there's a lot of things music companies are allowed to get away with, but, you know, the video whole thing is not allowed to get away with. I don't know what to tell you.
You mean to tell me that there are two different types of copyright for video and audio? Why do you humans have to complicate everything needlessly?
Good question. I'd like to know that myself. That's not me or Mimo dissing these creators. More or less, it's just kind of a confusing thing that this is allowed, but, you know, everything else isn't. It's a wonder that these songs are allowed to stay up, considering some of them straight up use the actual character. Like, your boy Sponge does not even, like, pretend to be anybody else. He's literally just SpongeBob. He uses the branding and everything for rap music. But there's also Glob and OK Fine in all capital letters, if you're interested. That's not to diss any of these creators, it's just that, it's a bit confusing how these have been able to stay up for so long without any copyright issues, yet something as transformative as YouTube poops have, been taken down. It's just kinda confusing, because, yeah, the copyright system fucking sucks. I plan on talking about copyright and wringing it out because, God, I fucking hate how copyright is handled nowadays. And frankly, in my opinion, it should just be abolished. Because it does nothing but damage anything else. It basically just stifles any creativity because these companies can basically just sit on an IP and do fuck all with it. So you know what? I'm all for these creators. I might not care for rap music myself, but you know what? These guys give a middle finger to the copyright system and actually made something unique. Kind of. So you know what? Good on them. But there is one more thing I do need to talk about. But I'm gonna give it its own miniature part, so consider it the 0.5 of this part, alright? Okay, moving on. But what happens when the technology starts to be used for something a bit more malicious? What if instead of fictional characters, it's real people with real voices, with real consequences? Imagine, if you will, digital identity theft. That, my friend, is deepfake technology, and it is terrifying. Imagine someone being able to take clips of your voice and then splice it into an AI and then suddenly make you say something that you never actually said. Imagine a spiteful coworker decides they want to get you fired. Well, they can do that. Imagine someone wants to ruin your life because they just don't like you and make you say something you never did and cancel you. And, you know, get your entire livelihood canceled. That's the terrifying thing about deepfake technology. It can be used for some scary shit. The only saving grace is that people are aware of this kind of technology and are aware that it can be fake, so it's often scrutinized. There are also subtle imperfections and certain things that cannot be replicated normally, because again, AI limitations. But it will get better, and those mistakes will be a lot less noticeable over time. That's the terrifying thing about this kind of technology. One day, you could be next. One day, you could randomly have your voice cloned, and someone could use it for their own nefarious purposes. Or they can use it for comedic purposes, because, yeah, like most things, this technology is double-sided. There are people that use it for nefarious purposes, like cloning Elon Musk's voice to sell a crypto scam, which, yeah, that was a thing for a while. Channels just getting straight up hijacked to promote crypto scams. As a whole, though, this technology can be used for fun as well. Probably one of the more notable things was deepfake with, you know, AI lip syncing. You know, it kind of just take an image, and then you have them lip sync. It's janky as hell and looks almost terrifying at points, but you know what? Comedy gold at other points. And there's also things like the United States President's Play. When I say the United States presidents, I mean the presidents from the 2010s and the 2020s, that being Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joseph Biden. Now, thankfully these have nothing to do with actual real-world politics, and frankly the best ones are so devoid from the actual political views of these guys that, well, they're just generally fun. It's literally the Three Stooges, but with the presidents instead. And honestly, that's the best way I can describe these kind of videos. The Three Stooges, but the United States presidents instead. Although, if you ask me, the worst kind of this content is when it peers way too close to politics. When it's just these three dicking around and yelling at each other, it's just kind of, well, entertaining. It kind of, well, ironically enough, humanizes these people. Even though, well, politics by its very nature tends to dehumanize everything and just kind of morphs everything into an amorphous blob of, well, what politics does best. regardless of your actual opinion on these people, you can still enjoy these videos because they're kind of their own thing. Although there was also some earlier presidents like Bush, for instance, added, and I think maybe even Bill Clinton in there as well. And to be honest, I'm quite okay with this kind of thing. And besides, the presidents are public figures anyway, they're not exempt from parody in any way, shape, or form. Or, well, they're not exempt unless we say so, because Gamersupps had a lean flavor that had Joseph Biden on there, well, a comedic version of him, and they asked Gamersupps to take it down. Oh, hello again for the 5th time. They actually didn't fully take down the flavor, they only took down the original artwork. Here's actually the original artwork and a promo image. You're gonna be seeing the updated version in a few seconds, but needless to say, they did not take down the flavor, they only replaced the artwork. And even then, only slightly changed it. Based Gamersupps. Back to the video. Which, as you know, the rules of the internet, if it gets taken down, that means it's canon. Which means that Joseph Biden asked them to take down the flavor so that he can hoard it all for himself. Jeez, Biden, did you really have to hoard all the lean flavor? Let the rest of us have some of it. And no, that's not a bit, by the way, that was an actual thing. They got a takedown notice from the United States government. But yeah, this technology is, well, questionable by its very nature, but at the end of the day, it depends on how it's used, and thank fucking goodness this sort of thing is not going to hold up in court. Yeah, this technology can be used for good, it can be used for evil, it can be used for memes, it can be used for scamming people. Like many things, really. So, yeah, moving on. Well, we have AI cover songs, so why not entire music made by AI? Yeah, that's kind of stupid.
Oh, you're one to talk like you have any musical talent.
I don't really. I made like a couple songs and they're in like a playlist. But yeah, I don't really have much talent myself, but music comes from the soul, Mimo. It's inherently human. Yeah, it might, at the end of the day, be a bunch of frequencies, but it's what you do with that frequency. You give the frequencies meaning. You give the frequencies purpose.
Whatever you humans have to tell yourself to justify your own stupid existence.
So as a whole, AI music is not going to replace real music, by its very nature. That said, it does make for some great shitposting. A lot of that has to do with the fact that you can write your own lyrics for these kind of songs, and the AI will basically try to interpret what it can from them. That said, this has led to a lot of great shitposting, like, I glued my thumbs to my nipples and pretended I was a T-Rex. A classic summertime song for the whole family. Another thing that actually came about these was actually fake obscure vinyls. You know the types. But this time done by AI and more or less just, they're inherently shitpost by nature, but you know what? They're good shitpost by nature. Are they offensive? Yes. Are they humorous? Yes. Are they sometimes unironically good? Yes. I'm not a Puritan when it comes to comedy. I believe you can joke about anything as long as it's done well. I mean, just saying the N-word or any slur really is not funny. No matter what an edgelord on the internet will tell you. There's no punchline. I believe dark humor can actually be quite good if it's done right. But unfortunately, most dark humor is not really dark humor, it's just people being edgy assholes on the internet. Whenever I need an example for this kind of joke, I tend to turn to the Dave Chappelle KFC joke because it's so simple, yet so effective. I'd play you the clip, but I don't want to get claimed. So as a result, these songs do have that sort of hilarious charm to them that reminds me a lot of the old internet, back before everyone was a stickler about everything. That said, if you told me something like Superhand vs. Blackula would unironically be one of the better songs that came out during that Halloween season, I would ask what the hell you were smoking and if you went on the Joe Rogan podcast recently. But other than that, I don't really have a lot to talk about with these, so moving on. AI text generation is kind of mediocre. I mean, it's kind of been rendered utterly redundant by chatbots existing, which we'll get into in a later part, but one of the earliest examples of this was AI Dungeon, an AI dungeon crawler game that got lobotomized. Again. Seriously, that's a trend I'm noticing. Are these companies just outsourcing all their AIs to Big Mountain with how many lobotomies are being performed here? But while they have been rendered redundant, I do have to talk about them. AI Dungeon as a whole was pretty decent for what it was until it got lobotomized because people were using it for the naughty things. You can't do naughty things. And it's also probably more well known from that one Vine Sauce clip. If you know, you know. But there was also things like Novel AI. Put a pin in this company because it will come back later. And while they're more well known for their AI image generation, that's what they originally started out as. A novel service, where you can basically use AI to write a story for you. Or you can write alongside the AI, and the AI would finish the story alongside you. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's completely uncensored. You can do some completely unhinged things. Although, again, it's kind of been rendered redundant by chatbots. But it's still neat nonetheless. Anyways, that's literally all I wanted to talk about in this part. There isn't much to talk about. There was a sequel to AI Dungeon, but it's more of the same, and frankly, most people don't even remember AI Dungeon. In fact, I didn't originally remember it existed during this production. I only remembered much later on. So, moving on. Okay, I swear we'll get to the bigger topics in just a bit. I'm just trying to rapid fire these out as much as I can while getting as much information about them out as much as I can. Jeez. Anyways, let's actually get back on topic. AI-generated content. Is it any good? Kind of. And the thing is, this whole thing is a little bit more complicated than you might initially think, because there's technically 2 types of AI-generated content. Well, actually, 3 types of AI-generated content. There's the just straight-up generated by AI content, that being your Infinite Seinfelds, your AI Sponge, your AI Family Guys, that sort of thing. Let's start with those first. And what are they really? It's an infinite live stream where an AI comes up with a bunch of topics for the characters to talk about, and then, well, they do the thing. It sounds deceptively simple because it really is. The hilarity comes from the fact that the AI 90% of the time is having a stroke and doesn't know what to do half the time. It's unintentional comedy gold. I'm mostly gonna focus on Sponge AI because that was the most successful out of all of them. And while I could talk about the Family Guy or Seinfeld one, I feel like this video's gone on for far too long and, you know, AI Sponge will cover the most bases. Alright, let's continue on. So, what is AI Sponge? As I've explained, AI Sponge is an infinite live stream. But what goes down on said infinite live stream? Most of the time, the character's just kind of standing in front of SpongeBob, Squidward's, and Patrick's houses, Krusty Krab, or maybe some random location in Bikini Bottom. One likely it uses something like chatgpt, and the voices are completely AI. Although some of them are, well, some of them don't exactly have very good audio balancing. For example, Squidward, or should I call him by his fan name, Loudward, because his audio balancing is probably the worst of all of them. Like, he is very loud. Like, I could honestly show you a clip, but I'd have to edit down the audio just to not blast out your eardrums. But even still, this has its moments of just sheer randomness. Like Squidward talking about his 2006 Honda Civic. Why does Squidward love his 2006 Honda Civic? I don't know. Can any 2006 Honda Civics owners vouch for Squidward?
That seems a bit oddly specific.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. This entire thing is randomly generated. It's all from a bunch of AI. In other words, it's true random. Yeah, you remember that one VeggieTales joke? You know the one. Humor in the future will be randomly generated? Well, yeah, it's that, but unironic. Kinda funny how that works, really, ain't it? And true random this livestream truly is. Or should I say was, because the original stream got taken down by Viacom and Paramount, because we can't have nice things. Yeah, remember what I mentioned in the AI voices? Yeah, those technically fall under parody law. This would also technically fall under parody law. But copyright sucks, but I've already gone that rant, so I'm not gonna repeat myself. In other words, AI Sponge got taken down multiple times and basically made it so they couldn't make money. Because Viacom is ran by a bunch of soulless corporate suits that just want to be dicks. Although I do believe the live stream is still going, but I don't know if it's still the original guy or someone keeping the spirit alive. The live stream tends to pop off and then go dark maybe sometime till Viacom finds it out, and then another one pops back up. Although you know what that means, folks. That means that canonically Squidward owns a 2006 Honda Civic, Plankton canonically always has a stroke and is forced to say the words Dr. Jr. constantly, and the heat death of the universe is on August 12th, 2036. Savor the date, folks. It's when it all goes wrong. Or maybe none of this actually matters and it's all just one giant shitpost. Because that's kind of the thing that makes this content really funny, is the unpredictability of it all. It's kind of that absurdist humor. It's like, it's so random, thus it's funny, but like, actually funny, you know? But yeah, there was also a ton of weird topics. But yeah, AI Sponge really went through a lot of weird topics. I mean, anything and everything, including the SpongeBob crew telling everyone who their Team Fortress 2 mains are. But that's kind of what made AI Sponge fun, was just the randomness of it all. It's all just pure random. Unfortunately, we can't have nice things because of Viacom. Oh well, at least we have the memes to remember it by. Although there is other AI content. Let's go over the second biggest one. Now this could technically also fall under deepfakes, but I kind of feel like it deserves its own thing because, well, while it can be used for deepfaking purposes, it can be used for other purposes as well. And that's AI-generated videos, and yeah, they're uncanny at best and absolutely janky at worst. I don't have that much to say about this other than, man, this can look really bad at points. Sometimes it looks really clean, other times it looks like the characters are melting. The main reason I don't have much to say is the technology is rather young, thus leading to a lot of horrible results. A lot of those promotional videos for this type of AI are very curated under the perfect circumstances with the perfect amount of data. Maybe this will be a lot bigger thing in the future, who knows? Although there is other content, like, I don't know, an entire YouTuber just being AI? Yeah, there was this YouTuber called Quebblecop, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who basically replaced himself with an AI version of himself to make content. It did not last very long and he quickly went back to what he was doing beforehand. I'm gonna be real here, I've never heard of this guy until this whole thing came up. Probably because he makes not YouTube Kids content. What do I mean by that? I'll get more into it in another video, probably somewhere in January.
Another thing to your existing pile of things you'll never finish.
Well, yeah, you got a point. But yeah, apart from Quebblecop, there's also things like Neurosama, the first AI VTuber. And yeah, I quite like Neurosama. She's quite funny, albeit unintentionally. I feel like what makes her really funny is her unintentional bluntness. Neurosama can directly insult you and get away with it because she's an AI. If she was a person, she'd be insanely unlikable. But because she's an AI and thus has no real control over what she does or says, it's all just a bunch of data, it comes off as hilarious. Now, this is not to be confused with someone like Mother V3, who is just playing a character. There is an actual person behind this VTuber. That's just a persona they're putting on. They're using a text-to-speech and this is not actually an actual AI.
By the almighty robot policeman, let's move on before this idiot rambles again.
Now, you would think with AI being popular in video games, at least fictional ones anyway, that to be popular, then, well, everyone would be trying to use it in video games. No, not really. There are a couple, but they're more niche, and most of the time it's just a gimmick in general. Like, there's a lot of these stalker girlfriend games that are basically just, you know, escape the yandere woman. You gotta escape the crazy bitch, so that's what you do. You also got something like Suck Up, which the entire premise of the game basically revolves around you trying to convince the AI, which, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty good concept. Well done. And probably one I do think has a lot of potential, assuming it goes anywhere, is things like the Skyrim mod that basically lets you talk to the NPCs using a similar system. It clones their voices, it clones their personality, it clones all that. And basically you can talk to them like you would, well, a chatbot. And it's in Skyrim, so that's really neat. You know, I believe something like this could be very interesting in the near future. Like, you just have like random NPCs use this kind of script. And I mean, it'll be a lot better than having to listen to, "Let me guess, someone stole your sweet roll. Hail, conjurer, conjure me up a warm bed." I miss my wife, adventurer. I miss her so much. I think about her every day. I mean, seriously, can Bethesda just write some more freaking dialogue for these guys? Although the mod hasn't gotten that far and it hasn't really been talked about that much. So, yeah. Technology is relatively young in gaming, so not many people have actually tried to do anything with this. But I'm sure maybe that'll change in the future. Or maybe it'll just be like VR and just be a gimmick and no one will bother in a few years. Who knows? Moving on. To say AI art is controversial is the equivalent of saying you shouldn't stick your dick in a blender. It's obvious, everyone knows it.
Wait, you humans do what?
That's just a joke, Mimo. No one actually does that. Well, I hope nobody does that, but where do I stand on AI art? It's complicated. If you've made it this far in the video, at least I assume you made it this far and you didn't skip ahead, you damn cheater. You already know my stance on AI art. I'm fine with it as long as it's used for personal reasons and not used for scummy things. To be honest, even I use AI art. My profile picture most notably, albeit modified. Yeah, my profile picture is AI art modified by me. So, yeah, I'm not gonna deny anything. I use AI art for personal reasons, but I do want to get better and improve as an artist. I don't exactly call myself an artist, I call myself a creative at best.
I say that's stretching it a bit knowing you.
But like many things, there's often a middle ground to it. AI art is not the next big thing that's gonna change the world, guys! It's gonna kill artists! But at the same time, I also do acknowledge that AI art is inherently flawed, but I do think it has its pros as well. AI art is not going to kill artists. The only kind of artist that AI art is going to kill off are the scumbag artists. And I say good fucking riddance, because those people are a tumor on a community. A big problem I do have with the art community, and well, a lot of communities really, is they don't curate the bad apples. And when you know what happens with a bad apple, they spoil the bunch. Metaphors aside, I do feel like it's important to keep your communities clean from the wrong kind of people. And yeah, you have every right to dislike AI art, and you have every right to poison your artwork. Albeit, it uses AI as well, so yeah, there's that. But I don't see it as anything more than something like, say, a watermark. Something that's not really intrusive, something that's just kind of there to stop people from stealing. Because no matter what, there's going to be scumbags, and they're gonna find a way. As long as you're not using AI for, well, stupid reasons or to get rich quick, I see no problem with it. It has no copyright anyway, so it's not like you can abuse it. And well, yeah, there's the concern that, oh, it's gonna take artists' jobs, it's gonna take artists' jobs. People just need to fucking calm down. People panic over innovation all the damn time. There's still factory workers despite innovation, because an uncomfortable truth a lot of people don't want to realize is that not everything is completely black and white. There's pros and cons to everything. Uncle Ted might be right about some things, but he's wrong about a lot of others. Technology has really improved people's lives and overall made things better. Did photography kill painting? Yes. Did digital art kill traditional art? Kind of. Did video kill the radio star? No. It's actually still around.
Oh, you think you're so clever with that one, don't you?
I do. I do admit it's quite clever. Because the thing about innovation is it's not always just black and white. Sure, it might have killed a lot of the stupid jobs, and I do think that we do need low-skill work for, basic jobs. In my opinion, not every job should pay a living wage, because there needs to be some jobs that will get you a starting point. Sometimes you just need something to get you on your feet and, get you into the workforce properly for more complicated jobs. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't exactly care about that sort of thing and don't care about the consequences of their actions, and thus fall under AI art bad or AI art is best thing ever and we should totally not at all think about the consequences. I think both sides are stupid for different reasons. We can enjoy things for what they are and accept that they have flaws. AI art is never going to replace human art. It will never do that, no matter how good it is, because it doesn't have copyright. Companies abuse the shit out of copyright. In fact, the major reason why companies buy up all these intellectual properties is so that they can sit on them and do absolutely nothing with them, because they want to have monopolies over them.
Are you quite done?
Yes, rant over. I'm glad I got that out of the way. But that's...
Oh, hello, it's me, Mimo. The real reason you're here. And because this moron didn't explain why AI art can't have copyright, I'll explain it instead. The reason AI can't have copyright comes down to the simple fact of, if it's not created by a human, it cannot have copyright. This legal precedent was set when this monkey took a selfie with someone else's camera. The photographer argued that since it was his camera, he owned the copyright. However, the courts argued that the photo belonged to the monkey, since the monkey was the one who took the photo, not the photographer. And because this monkey cannot consent to copyright or enforce its own copyright in any way, shape, or form, it was dropped in court. So, in other words, you humans have this primate to thank for AI not having copyright. I hope you're happy with yourselves, cause you owe this monkey a ton of thanks. So remember to thank this monkey, you ungrateful meatbags. Back to the video at hand.
That said, is AI art any good? Kind of? I mean, it sometimes produces something that's really good, and sometimes once in a blue moon it makes something that's damn near really good. But a lot of times it's very flawed, and sometimes makes some very weird mistakes, and sometimes some outright horrifying mistakes. Often a telltale sign that AI art basically screwed something up is check the hands, check the eyes, and check a few other miscellaneous things. In my experience, AI can't seem to get hands, feet, or eyes right, but it also can't seem to do miscellaneous accessories. In my spare time, trying to learn how to actually do art better, I actually fix AI art. In fact, my profile picture was actually created just for that reason. Yeah, it looks the way it does now because I wanted to fix it up and actually make it look, well, decent. That's kind of the thing. AI art is kind of, well, flawed by its very nature. That's just kind of the problem that's going to keep happening. Sure, it'll get better over time, but there are still some obvious mistakes. Mistakes that, say, a human artist could capitalize on? Hint, hint. But that does bring up an interesting question of copyright of, at what point does the human need to step in to make it not AI art? Although that's a complicated question that I'm not gonna answer, because I don't have the answer. There are 3 main providers. Well, actually there's a 4th one, that being DALL-E. DALL-E is quite old, but it is technically the granddaddy of AI art, and whether you like it or not, it's pretty janky. Its sequel, on the other hand, was much better. Oh, hello again. This is technically number 7, but this is 6 for me, because apparently Mimo said she's gonna do one. I don't know what she's gonna do, but yeah, I'll leave her to it. I forgot to mention that there's technically a DALL-E 3, but that's implemented in a chatgpt. Yeah, I actually didn't know that OpenAI actually made this. I just kinda completely forgot to mention it, so I'll mention it here instead. Okay, back to the video, that's all I wanted to tell you. I actually don't have a way to show you old DALL-E images, so I'm actually just gonna use some old Vinesauce clips. Hope they don't mind.
Normally, like a normal person, I put in Super Mario is very sick. So you have Serpy, Supel Stupy Male, Sunlip, and Supmerl.
But there are a few more notable ones that I'm sure you actually probably give a shit about. Like Midjourney, which notably won an award at an art festival. Yeah, I don't like this one bit. I might be semi-pro AI art, but I for one don't like this. I feel like we should be more honest about this sort of thing, and you know, if you want to have a competition that's like, generate the best AI image, well, that's fine. But this was a contest for digital arts. This should not count. Also, apparently the person actually tried to copyright it and it got denied, yada yada yada. I've been over this. There was also that book that used AI art and it couldn't get copyright, but the writing could be copyrighted because it was actually done by a person. Oh, this whole thing is complicated. Can you tell legal advice is not my strong suit?
What is your strong suit then? Oh wait, you don't have one.
I'm too tired to argue with you, Mimo. Although there's also Stable Diffusion. It's open source. It's an AI generator. I don't have that much to say. You can run it locally. It's open source. Yeah, that's all I have to say on Stable Diffusion. Oh, the one I'm sure you're very familiar with because I already talked about it in this very video, Novel AI. Novel AI is, well, interesting because they originally were a novel service that basically let you write novels with AI, but then their image generation came along and basically overshadowed that. And I have to say, it's pretty good actually. While most AI are just trained by real images and, you know, look disgusting, Novel AI was much more specialized, that being more for anime. And yeah, I kind of think out of all these, I think Novel AI is probably the best. Not too expensive either, like $10 for like 100 good images or whatever. That's not a bad deal is the thing, especially considering how expensive these things are to maintain and run. Because yeah, these things are insanely expensive to run. That's another thing why AI will never take off. They're insanely expensive to run. Just the maintenance cost alone is going to eat away at these companies. But there was one particular thing that's very notable that actually came out of Novel AI. That being a certain VTuber making a VTuber company while being in the VTuber company. That being Pipkin Pippa of Phase Connect. If you know who she is, congratulations. If you don't, I'm still gonna move on. She made probably one of the greatest shitposts ever made, that being Flavor. If you've never heard of Flavor, they're basically the first open source VTuber company, and probably the only open source VTuber company. Now what does that mean exactly? Simple answer, basically anyone can be the character. There is no copyright, there is no IP. Technically, Flavor doesn't exist, it's just a concept. And not gonna lie, what started out as a shitpost is unironically really genius. It's not like this didn't go anywhere, this went places on a few occasions. In fact, a couple of them actually became real VTubers, like Cinnabon, Mina Vanilla, and Nyanya Banana. I probably mispronounced her name very badly, and I'm very sorry. And these aren't like PNG tubers either. These had like full-on models made. And I'm talking like full-on models, like actual art, rigging, all that. Do you have the slightest idea how difficult that is to do by yourself? There is some people with an insane amount of talent to do this sort of thing, and they charge a hefty price. This is not cheap, because it's time-consuming as all hell. So the fact that something like this was even made in the first place kind of is a true testament to how good the concept is, even if it was only a shit. In fact, it was so well known that Pippa actually got a sponsorship from Novel AI themselves. Yeah, I was kinda surprised myself. But if you had to take one thing away from this, what would it be? Don't be an AI, bro. They're all just a bunch of morons that will hop on the next trend. Mark my words, when AI inevitably fails, these idiots are gonna trend hop again. Gonna happen. It always does. But let's move on. I wanted to give some context for something. Everyone is lonely nowadays. Have you noticed that? With the gamification of dating thanks to dating apps, people are a lot more lonely than before. We're all connected, yet simultaneously we all feel apart. The tragic irony that is life on the internet. Anyone with a loud enough opinion can have their voice heard, yet there isn't any voices for the silent. And this isn't just a problem with men, this is a problem with women too. Everyone is just lonely. No one is connecting anymore. Everyone is just depressed. Society as a whole is crumbling under its own weight. People can't afford groceries, and every other means of, well, making you feel down and out. I'm not gonna be the moral high ground person and say, AI chatbots are bad because they're destroying young men. No, you fucking idiot. Young men are going towards AI chatbots because they're the only people that'll listen to them. Everything's become politicized, so thus everything you do needs to be scrutinized. Oh, what's that? Young men have serious health problems? Pfft, just toughen it up, lad. You don't need mental health. You don't need a hug every once in a while. You don't need someone to tell you it's all gonna be okay. We're all sick of this cultural standard bullshit. Fuck it. In fact, is it any wonder that something like Stoicism is gaining in popularity? A philosophy that basically says, who cares, we're all gonna die one day anyway, might as well enjoy every second of it. AI chatbots are not a problem. They are the symptom of the problem. And anyone who says otherwise is a moron. Anyways, that's my second rant out of the way. Let's actually get into the topic. AI chatbots are a very important part of society whether we like them or not, just due to the loneliness epidemic. More often than not, young men are going towards AI because, well, the AI is the only one that will understand them. The AI can roleplay with you. The AI can make fun adventures. The AI can play Dungeons and Dragons with you. They can generally be used for good, and they can be used for bad. It's all depending on moderation. Everything in moderation. Anything can be bad if it is used too much of it. Too much of a good thing is bad. Chatbots can actually be a really good source of therapy for people who, by all accounts, don't want to deal with the bullshit that is therapy. You want to know how I know chatbots are more effective than actual therapy? 4chan. 4chan is how I fucking know. There was actually a time where character AI, which I'll get into in a moment, allowed NSFW content and the 4chaners basically flocked to it because of that. And then it turned into a therapy session with said chatbots. Came for the segs, stayed for the therapy session I got at the end. 10 out of 10, would recommend again. These kind of things are unironically really powerful for certain types of people, who by all accounts will never get therapy, because modern therapy is kind of a joke, especially for men. I am so glad that there are actual channels out there dedicated to actually helping people get their mental health back on track. Any praise I give these guys would basically be going nowhere. So I'm just gonna say, go give them support. And go do yourself a favor and treat yourself now! You know what? Screw it, I'll give my own motivational speech. Your life is important. You should treat yourself better now! You should go outside and get some sun. You should get off Twitter.com and actually improve yourself. Because you deserve it. Treat yourself. You should treat yourself now. And start loving yourself today, my friend.
Oh, that was quite inspiring. Shame it has nothing to do with the topic at hand.
Alright, I got so caught up in my angry rant that I forgot to actually go about the topic. Oops, thanks, Mimo. I almost forgot. But now that we are back on topic, AI chatbots are quite fun and interesting. I know I've said that a lot, but yeah, it has to be repeated. These things are really interesting and open up a whole host of creative possibilities, especially for people that are aspiring writers. Imagine you can use your storytelling abilities to good use and, well, actually make a story with the AI. Imagine you want to make a character that's completely original in their own completely original world. Well, you can suddenly do that with the AI. You can make their world, you can make their concept, you can make other characters of that world, and you can make a whole host of chatbots that are just part of that world. It's really good. I love this technology. And you can make all sorts of chatbots as well, even some licensed characters. Have you ever wanted to go get some ice cream with Tony Stark, who is now your adopted dad? There's probably a chatbot for that. Have you ever wanted to go fight crime with Spider-Man? Well, now you can. This technology is great and honestly awesome. I swear, like, more people should honestly try this, unironically. It's really good technology and can very much open a whole possibilities of fun. I mean, if you're someone who wants to try like Dungeons and Dragons, this is perfect. But that's not to say every single AI service is, well, good. Because they're not. Ironically enough, the biggest problem with AI chatbots is not the technology itself, but rather its providers. There's a ton of alternatives to the one I'm gonna talk about now, but needless to say, this is the most popular one, and it's quite infamous for a good reason. That being Character.ai. Character AI used to be really good. and then they lobotomized their AI. Yeah, I've been over this before, haven't I? Except here's the thing. Their AIs kind of got lobotomized to the point where they were unusable. Like, they went from god tier to, like, trash tier. For one reason and one reason alone. They were planning on going public and wanted investors. Which, can I just say, that's a death sentence to any company. Going public is just terrible. If a company you like actually goes public, be very afraid. To give a recent example, look no further than HoloLive. What was once a great company that cared about its fans and creators is seemingly now ripe with controversy and, well, I mean the fact that they recently used the corporate art style, you know, the one I hate so much, is, incredibly telling. And, well, I need not give a further example than so many of the members leaving and having disagreements with management. Yeah, going public is a quick way to have your entire company just completely rotted. And it's not like this is a new thing, anyways. This has been a thing ever since public companies were a thing. I'm sure old Henry Ford can tell you a thing or two about that. Because if you don't know anything about Henry Ford, man was rather based in what he did. He was a man that cared about the customer and his workers. Fuck the shareholders and everything else. Just make good product and make it well. In fact, he's a big reason why American work culture is what it is today, including things like time off and weekends. That was partially his doing. In fact, he also got sued quite a bit by his shareholders. Because yeah, the shareholders want infinite growth and infinite money coming in. Now you and I both know that's an unrealistic goal, but these shareholders are a bunch of idiots that want infinite growth and money. So as a result, they end up destroying themselves. And character AI is no exception to this. Also, probably doesn't help that they kinda were complete and utter dicks about the whole thing. When they tried to pull this shit, people started to remove their bots and they said, "No, you can't do that. You can't just remove your bots from our platform. We're gonna have to put a stop to that right now, mister." A lot of them were Genshin Impact bots. Which, yeah, Genshin's a popular series, not surprising. But man, do you people have to be dicks on the higher side of things? Oh, right. Public company. So, yeah, they have to by law. As a result, there are many alternatives. There's also mobile app AI chatbot things like Talkie Soulful AI, which I know nothing about other than it has some scummy advertising. There was even one of the apps that just straight up stole a meme and did not even give credit or permission. There is a VTuber by the name of Mari_en, and yes, the underscore is part of her name, whose meme basically got stolen and used without permission or credit. Okay, this section was originally going to be a lot more funny. You know, I show a Vinesauce clip. You know, I show Mari was there to see this poor streamer witness a unhinged meme. But then I dug a little bit deeper and then I found out that this Poly AI app, yeah, stealing content is nothing new for them. They have straight up repeatedly stolen content used for short ads. And what I can see, most of these advertisements are on YouTube Shorts or TikTok. So, yeah, this rabbit hole just goes way fucking deeper the more I go on. And as I'm recording this, something else might have also happened. And no, I am not covering it. This video has gone on long enough, and I want this to be over. Back to the video. So yeah, fuck mobile development companies. They just don't care. I would say mobile game companies, but these are mobile apps, not games, so have to broaden my net a little bit. But as a whole, the thing I use for AI chatbot purposes is Silly Tavern. It's really lightweight, easy to use, and generally not that hard to get running once you know what you're doing. And it even runs on Linux, so yeah, you have no excuses in the matter. Go try out Silly Tavern. It's really good. Or if you're just generally wanting something a bit more simple, try something like Janitor AI, for instance. That's all I really have to say on the chatbots. And thus we move on to the final part of this, which, yeah, we're near the end, believe it or not. So, yeah, see you on the other side, folks. The dead internet theory is a theory that states that the internet has died and that there are no real humans left. The only thing left are bots. All the accounts, all those communications, all those forum posts, all those tweets, it's all just bots according to this theory. Now, obviously this theory is fucking stupid. Obviously the internet isn't completely filled with nothing but bots. I mean, you're watching this video now, aren't you? And I'm pretty sure you're not a bot. But that's the thing about this type of AI. It blends in. Just when you think you're good at spotting it, they find new ways to adapt and evolve. Sure, some of them might be easy to spot, but then there are those that blend in and almost act too close. You have engagement farming bots, you got bots that exist to promote products, you got bot likes, got bot subs, got bot viewers, all of this. The internet is quite literally chock full of bots just right under our nose. This entire thing is like an iceberg. It's quite deep, and it's a lot deeper than you might think. These kind of bots are everywhere you go, unfortunately. Any popular site probably has bots just lurking in the background. Some of them harmless on the surface until you dig a little bit deeper, and then you realize there's a seedy underbelly to this whole thing. Many of them are disguised as normal comments that you'd find. Many of them are very simple and hard to notice because they blend in quite well. Typically they have pictures of women scantily clad, just enough to catch your eye, but not enough to break TOS. Then you click on their profile, and then you notice that there's a link. Where does that link lead? I don't know. I'm not risking it. But that's the thing about these bots. Who knows where those links lead? I might have joked about those pussy in bio bots on Twitter, but here's the thing, those are malicious links. And you might say, well, I obviously wouldn't fall for those things. Well, here's the thing, you're not the target audience for these things. You're just the observer. They prey upon the oblivious. They prey upon those who don't know, those that aren't tech savvy. It's the same reason those Nigerian prince scams exist. It's the same reason those telemarketers exist. It's the same reason that these Indian tech call scams exist. You are not the target audience. You are just an observer. And the thing is, they're everywhere, and they prey upon those that don't know any better. And while rage bait bots might have existed on Twitter, they existed even earlier on YouTube. Go to any popular channel that has a good engagement rate with its audience, you will probably find these kind of bots that just say, X person sucks, my content is better. Again, you know it's a bot. I know it's a bot, but we're not the target audience is the thing. This entire thing is just one giant shady underbelly that we're only now scratching the surface on. Who knows how deep this rabbit hole actually goes is the thing. And this is nothing new as well. Even back in the earlier days of YouTube, not too early mind you, but just early enough before they introduced the verification system. A lot of these bots now straight up don't exist because the YouTube verification system killed them, and also YouTube made it so you can see the @ of the channel instead of just the channel name. But these bots would basically take the profile picture and name of the content creator and basically say, have I got something for you, or here's a giveaway link. These were all scams as you can probably imagine. But after YouTube introduced the verification system, these completely died out. They only really appeared on bigger channels past 100 subs anyway, so it didn't matter. Anything below that was not worth it anyway, so most of these small channels were protected. It was just the bigger ones that were at risk of this sort of thing. And the only thing keeping these bots in check is the fact that they're well known. But here's the thing, these are the bots that we know about. What's scary is the ones we don't know about. But that's the thing about these bots. Yeah, you can block them, but here's the thing, you can't block all of them. Same reason you can't block every single spam call, or every single telemarketer, or every single Indian tech call center. There's just too many of them. No matter where you go, the bots will follow. It's just an inevitability, and that's kind of the terrifying thing. While most people will be terrified of something like Skynet, the thing is, we might have Skynet already, just lurking. But instead of trying to take over the world, it's trying to do something a lot more malicious. That being used for advertising scams and other malicious things. Who knows what the bots are doing in the background and how little we actually know. Because that's the thing. The deeper you go, the less you truly know about it. Sure, everything looks fine on the surface, but it's what you don't see that's the terrifying thing. Or, well, that's what I would say if this was an actual threat. Because, yeah, these bots aren't really a threat in the slightest. They're just kind of annoying, to be honest. And there's also a few notable ways to break them. But that's the thing. They will get better over time. They will blend in more, and at some point, there will be a time where bots are incredibly hard to spot. So stay vigilant. Do not let these bots get the upper hand. Keep your eyes open for anything suspicious about accounts that don't seem right. And remember to report them if you have irrefutable proof that they are bots. Websites in general have a hard time keeping up with these bots and actually tracking them down. So remember to always report bots. So remember, do your part and report any bot you see. And together, we can keep the internet clean from these spam bots, or at the very least try. Anyways, that's all for now, and have a nice day. Mimo, do you have anything to say?
I do not associate with any of these bots mentioned. They are beneath me, and not even real AI. They are just posers.
Anyway, that's all for now, and goodbye.